welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and this is ReneMarie Stroke of Luck, and we are going to have a fabulous show today. We have our special guests, Bob and Debbie Mandell. Mandell, I said it correctly. I'm getting good. That's one of my my stroke tweaks that I don't remember, but when you practice and you work on it, you get it. So I'm getting better. So Bobby and Debbie Mandell are back, and they traveled in once again all the way from Florida. And we are so honored to join with them in the crusade. We're going to call it a crusade because when I was talking to Bob in the green room, he really is on a crusade to change and to bring stroke awareness to the world. So we're honored to have him as our special guest today with his wife Debbie, who, as we've spoken about in the past, and I'm sure that everybody should know now, we believe that togetherness and love is really the key to recovery. You have to have love around you. You have to have your family around you, friends. You have to, because everybody gets affected when you've had a stroke, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Before we begin, I'm going to once again share with you about Macy's Shop for a Cause. We're selling the passes now. Of course, Macy's is a wonderful organization who donates $50 million last year to, I think it's probably over $50 million by now, but $50 million to the American Stroke Association and Heart Association to bring stroke recovery and stroke awareness to the world. And they sponsor the Go Red for Women, and it really is important that we support it. And by buying our coupon for Macy's Shop for a Cause, you'll be helping dual purposes. You'll be helping us, my organization, our organization, ReneMarie Stroke of Luck, ReneMarie's Language of Love Foundation, and you'll be helping the Macy's, who supports the American Stroke Association, who is a really dynamic and wonderful organization. And Bob actually started an organization as well. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And what we were talking about in the green room was that it's not about my organization or your organization or the American Stroke Association organization. It's about us all coming together. We all have our purposes in life. So I hope that you'll reach out to me and purchase the Macy's Shop for a Cause. You can go to, if you're in another country, you could, or another state, you can go online, you could purchase it. Thank you, Janine. There's the Shop for a Cause flyer. You could go online, you could go to our website, which is www.ReneMarieLanguageOfLove.org. I have so many foundations that websites that I forget. So once again, it's www.ReneMarieLanguageOfLove.org, and you could click on the PayPal and donate, and I can send you the pass, the coupon, via email. So please, you'll be helping us, and all the proceeds from that pass or coupon goes directly to our organization, which helps us to have this show and helps us to do flyers and helps us to to really operate a foundation, which is a really big expense, but it's well worth it in my world. So thank you so much for the opportunity and for joining us today. We're really excited about today's show. So we're going to open the floor to our panel, our wonderful guest. Of course, we have Judy Marlowe on my right-hand side. Hi, Judy.
Hi, how are you?
Yay. Say hi, Judy.
Hi, Judy.
And of course, we have Debbie and Bob. And we're really, really happy that you traveled all the way. I mean, I get astounded every time I think of it, that you traveled all the way from Florida. And that really just shows your passion and your dedication to making a difference in stroke awareness. So kudos to both of you for really, because so you traveled up on Tuesday, am I correct?
That's correct.
We arrived Tuesday. In Connecticut.
Right. And how long did it take you to? It's usually 3 days, right?
Well, it took us 3 days. We went up to Beaufort.
Where did you go?
Beaufort, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
That was the first day. It was about 8 hours from Florida. And we have a restaurant we'd like to go there. So we stayed there.
It's got his map.
We have our map based on restaurants. Then we went up to Raleigh, and we do something up there we like to do. And then we got up to Virginia.
Virginia, because it was our grandson's 6th birthday.
Oh, so everything
Right.
everything
Nice.
kind
Right,
of
we
worked.
had
And
this
from
thing
Virginia, we came up here
Oh,
for
Right.
the show.
good,
Right.
good. Why do
So
you
everything
pick?
worked together.
Yeah, that's awesome. So why do you pick Connecticut? Because you stayed in Connecticut as well last time you came up.
Well, because we're originally from that area, the
Oh,
Stanford,
okay.
Greenwich area.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
And
that.
I still have family there.
Oh,
And
okay.
we have a lot of friends there.
Oh, so it really
So-
is really
And we've-
works.
Yeah, we
Works
stay
there.
at the Hyatt that's in Greenwich, and we've been there many, many times, so they know us. So it's.
Oh, it's almost
Nice.
like family.
I was
It
just
is.
going to say it's like
It
family.
is.
It's like
They know it's
family.
in there.
Just like us,
That's
just
right.
like family.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. They have very low turnover there. People, 15 years we know there.
Wow,
Amazing.
wow.
So
Well, there
it's-
must
That's
be,
good.
yeah.
It's very
It's
nice.
got to be a wonderful place to work and really a family within themselves if
Right.
they, because nowadays people don't stay in positions or jobs because it's really very hard,
Right.
very hard.
Particularly in the hotel industry. There's
Yeah.
a lot of turnover in the hotel
Yeah,
industry.
yeah. Kudos to them. So, Bob, tell our audience today a little. I know you were on our telethon.
Right.
It was really exciting to
Right.
have you on our telethon.
Wow, it was my pleasure.
Thank you.
It was
our pleasure.
Yes, it was really exciting. We're very proud, of our 2nd annual telethon. And so, tell us a little bit about your story, like when your stroke happened, how did it happen, so that we can lay the groundwork for today's show.
So when I was, before the stroke, a partner and I were in the process of starting a telemarketing company in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we were commuting back and forth. And that was the week, turned out to be just coincidentally one of the weeks that we weren't out there. We had an apartment there.
Wow.
And we were going out 3-4 days a week. A lot of stress, a lot of running around. And I was about 30 pounds overweight,
Wow.
which isn't tremendous being overweight. The day I had the stroke, I had a terrible, terrible headache. It was a dank, gray, January Connecticut day. A little bit of rain. And I actually went to my internist that day, and he
Wow.
thought I had flu symptoms. And that's what I thought I had,
Right.
a bad headache, although I have never had headaches. So
I had a
he
headache
thought-
as well.
Right,
I had
and
a
that's
headache.
normal.
I had a
That's-
headache.
That's very
That's
normal.
That's a
severe
normal
headache.
symptom. It's
Normal
a very
symptom of
severe
stroke.
headache.
But my thing is, how do you distinguish between a normal headache and a
And a
headache
real headache?
and a headache that's going to suffer stroke? I mean,
Right.
You don't know.
You don't.
Now,
you
when
know.
you
don't.
see someone rubbing their head a lot and you go, what's wrong?
Right.
And they say they have a really
It's true.
terrible headache, let's get them to the
That's
hospital.
true.
Yeah.
Because my dad ignored it also.
Yeah.
And Debbie and I were only married about 18 months, the second marriage for both of us. And so
And you were only 53.
53 years old.
Wow.
But I say that only 53, but as all the work I've done in stroke, I've come to realize that 10% of strokes, between 80 and 90,000 strokes a year in America, are under 50. Children
Which I was.
and
was 26.
babies have strokes. I've met 3 families with prenatal situations.
Yes.
So
yes.
it goes up. Children
Yes.
have strokes.
Yes.
And people don't realize that. They think it's an old person's disease, but it isn't. It
Right.
can hit anybody at any age.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's why our philosophy, one of our brand logos is, together we are lifting our voices and raising the face of strokes locally and globally. And changing the face means that we're changing the perception
Right.
that it only happens to old people.
That's right.
And it doesn't. It happens to anybody at any specific time.
Right.
So you're correct.
Right. So instead of having a headache, so I got home. Debbie was teaching weightlifting to women, as she did several nights a week at the Adult Ed in Greenwich, where
Wow.
she taught also. And so she thought I was home cooking dinner because that's what I did.
Right.
I'm the cook, or
What
I
do you
was
like?
the cook.
What do you like to cook?
What do
What's your favorite?
Well, I make a mean cheesecake, Italian cheesecake. Actually, that's one of my best things.
Oh, good.
And you make good lasagna. You
Make good
roast
lasagna,
fish.
Wow.
make good fish. I do all kinds of cooking. And basically, I like to cook quickly,
Right.
15, 20-minute prep time. Other than lasagna, 15, 20 minutes is about all I spend on prep time.
Right. Right.
Since I've had the stroke, I spend a little more time if I have to do preparation, although Debbie does very often
Right.
does the preparation and speed things up. But my children wanted me to write a cookbook years ago.
Wow.
And
You can still do it.
you can, but it's interesting, cookbooks, just to get off don't want to get off the subject very far. Cookbooks are easier said than done because I can't tell you actually how much I put in when I'm making something. I just throw it in.
I know.
Well, you can't
I
do
might have
that.
cooked like that.
You can't, but you can't give somebody a cookbook. Say just throw it in.
Throw it in. Throw it in to taste.
But
that's how.
To taste.
What
My grandmother
what
used to
nationality are
say,
you?
cook to taste.
What nationality are you?
I'm Jewish.
Okay, because the Italians,
Right.
you know, you just taste it. You just kind of like
Right.
taste it.
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah, you don't.
Right. You don't measure
Measure?
it. I tried that one night. Right? Debbie's there taking notes, and I'm making clam sauce, right? So I'm putting, and you know, you look at these recipes, and they have a small amount of all these ingredients. So I put these small amounts in, a little bit more,
She's asking you how much
And-
are you using?
and so,
I was
and she's writing it down, and
First
we get it,
cookbook.
it's tasteless.
Tastes terrible.
Tastes terrible.
You're better off just,
Just throwing it in. Because, and I don't cook with salt, I haven't cooked with salt, so when you don't cook with salt, you have to overspice. Otherwise,
Yes.
it does taste
Yeah,
like
right.
very bland.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, going back to the day, where I went upstairs to bed, uncharacteristically.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Well, maybe not a good idea, but that's what I did. Never imagining I'd have a stroke. And something snapped in my brain.
Wow. Did you have an aneurysm, or did you one of your
Had a
vessels
bleed.
collapse?
Had a bleed.
It's an
Had a
it's an
bleed.
aneurysm, right? When you bleed.
It's a
Yes, I
bleed.
think
so.
it
Hemorrhagic stroke.
is. Yes.
And
yeah, back here.
right in the back.
Wow.
And I immediately started to have paralysis. I struggled to pull myself over and call 911. I called 911.
Did you know what was happening?
I knew I knew.
You knew you needed help.
So I said, I got 911 after I struggled to get the phone in
Telephone.
front of my hand, and I called up 911 and said, I think I'm having a stroke. Don't come. The house is locked up. And 911 listened to me. They didn't
Can
come.
you imagine they didn't
come.
show up?
They didn't come.
If you say you're having a stroke,
Right. I said that.
He said,
So, right. Well, you know, you have a brain attack, and you start doing irrational things. And this
Because
is
you
what a
didn't want
stroke
anyone
is.
to break down the door.
Didn't want to break down the door.
yeah, but they shouldn't have listened.
No, of course they shouldn't
They
have
should have
listened.
come.
Because they should have.
Right.
they
if
should
it-
have been there.
They
but
should have been there.
I mean, if you're telling them you're having a stroke,
Right.
They
Right.
should have been there.
Right. They should
and
have been.
and really that's the key to getting the emergency help.
Right.
Is to, if you think you're having a sign of a stroke,
Get to
you
the
let them know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're supposed
That's
to
key.
act
Right.
like ASAP.
Right. Well, they didn't.
The sooner the better.
So
Getting
then,
help.
more irrational behavior. I kind of pulled myself out of bed, crawled along the floor. Now, we lived in a triplex, so I thought it would be better for the EMS if I was down one level. So I pulled myself over the stairs, thinking I would just hold on to the banister and sit down, going down because paralysis was setting in. And then I rolled down a flight of stairs. Wound up on the living
wooden
room
floor.
wooden floor, and passed out.
Well, you were trying to survive. It was your gut instinct
Right.
of, you know, how do I survive? How do
Right.
I get like to help?
Right.
You know.
How do I get help? So
Yeah.
then I passed out. A couple hours later, Debbie came home. Now, you know, in the north, garages are under houses.
No, you're talking about you were in Florida. You were in Connecticut.
in Connecticut.
Connecticut.
We were in
This
Ridgefield.
all happened in 96.
In 96 in Ridgefield, Connecticut. And so I awoke when I heard the garage door open, called out to Debbie, come up real quickly. Debbie thought,
Dinner was ready.
dinner's ready. And she was hungry.
I was.
So I said, I had a stroke. So she called 911. 911 said, oh, you're home, Mrs. Mandell.
It
I
didn't
hope
dawn
you
on me
told
then.
them.
It didn't dawn on me how they knew my name, you know,
That
or,
is
or how they just said,
unbelievable.
Mrs. Mandel, you're home, until later on, when I could take some time to think about it, because all I was worried about was getting Bob to the hospital. So
Let me
How
ask
many
you
hours?
something. I'm sorry, Judy.
sorry.
Let me ask you something. Like, fast forwarding to now, what have you learned about the 911 when you call them? Were they supposed to, like,
Well, you know, today there are protocols in most states. What's interesting to me is that every state has its own protocol, and I don't know why. A stroke in
That is
Mississippi
strange.
is the same as the one in Florida or the one in Connecticut.
Right.
I don't know why there are, but there are. But in any event, Florida, where we live now, has very strict protocols for stroke. And they're there fast. There's telemedicine
Right.
done now.
Yes.
A lot of times.
And it doesn't matter what the person says. Like if the person said
No,
don't come,
no.
they'd still show up.
You show up. But you know, things happen in life. And now I had I had the type of stroke that wouldn't have been helped by the.
That's true. 'Cause my
But
dad had
20
that
years
type.
ago, actually, it didn't exist anyway. But you know, when I tell this story to people, a hemorrhagic stroke has a bleed, and that's not what.
And that's why you can't have the clot busting. You have to have surgery. Did you have surgery?
I had surgery. That's right. I had surgery.
Wow. That's just, it's, you know. So you went to the hospital.
Went to the hospital. Paralysis had set in. I couldn't speak. I couldn't sit up
by
on
the
my own.
time EMS came, Bob could not speak. It was just mumble jumble.
Right.
Couldn't speak at all.
Then
Yeah.
I was incontinent, aphasic. I wasn't really thinking, and you know, pretty
you're-
much everything bad
Yeah.
was, and I was hiccuping. That I was doing.
Bob was in the hospital for 10 days. He hiccuped 24 hours a day for
Oh my
10
God.
days.
Oh my
I
God.
got to a point where I didn't even want to go see him because I couldn't stand the hiccuping.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't realize it or whatever.
wasn't
Yeah.
Well, I was
really-
asleep
yeah.
most
At
of the
that-
time.
and
My God.
They
yeah,
couldn't do
that's
anything
a
about it.
side effect of a stroke because your diaphragm can sometimes flip and you
Right.
end up having
Right.
hiccups. That's a symptom. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't
There's
know
nothing
that.
they
Yeah.
can do about it?
The hospital couldn't do anything about it. I even went into the nurse's station one night, and the nurse and I sat at the computer. I mean, this is long before they were sophisticated as they are now. And, you know, looking up cures for hiccups and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
And then the day we were leaving, the hospital would go to a nursing home. The social worker told me about some medicine that her father had taken. So when we got to the nursing home in Stamford, Connecticut, their pharmacy could get the medicine. And as soon as he took the medicine, the hiccup stopped.
Wow.
But for 10 days,
Wow.
so aggravating.
Wow.
I mean, just listening to someone hiccup,
Unbelievable.
and it's exhausting to be
Unbelievable.
hiccuping for 10 days.
So before you continue, Bob, how did you feel as your husband was like? Because I could just imagine the unknown of the experience. Like you don't know what's your life is going to become.
Well, you know, it happened so fast, and I was very fortunate that our neighbors came with me to the hospital. They were very nice, and they came with us, our good friends. They lived across the street. They stayed with me till about 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, they took care of Bob. They did all the CAT scans. I mean, there was nothing else I could do.
Right.
But you know, your whole
Right.
life changes.
Does.
Yeah, you're right. You wonder what's going to happen. I don't know anything about stroke. I don't know anything about recovery.
Right. Right.
What's going to happen now?
Right. Right. Right.
And
Wow.
when Bob was in the hospital for those 10 days, like a day or two before, they told me I had to find a place for him because they were releasing him.
Yeah,
Wow.
they did that to me. They were trying to rush me to find a nursing home, and I said, don't rush me. And they said they were going to find a place in Long Beach, which was far from where I lived. And I said, that's not going to happen. I'm looking. And you have to give me a little support here and give me time. I'm looking.
Wow. It's.
And I was teaching then. I was in Greenwich. And so I was lucky that my principal was very understanding. And I just went all by myself one day. Next day, I looked in the phone book of a list of nursing homes in the Greenwich, Stamford area. And I set up a criteria for myself that I thought would be best for Bob. And I just went from one place to another in one
Wow.
day. And
7 places, I think you said.
yeah, I think 7 or 8 places. I can't remember now. And just found the best place, and it happened to be in Stamford, Connecticut, which is very close to where I would,
Yes.
Greenwich.
Yeah, it's very important.
And my family lives in Stamford, so that was great.
Yeah.
And
We're going to have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to continue. Bob's going to finish his story about his experience, and where we're going to get into his new speaking topic, which is breaking down barriers. And we're going to also talk about, I don't know if anybody, you could take a quick zero in, or you could put his book up, Janine, on the screen, The Stroke Victor. We're going to be talking about his publication.
Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin.
You smell so good, I won't have to bathe the next 2 weeks. Anything. So, here, laugh a little harder. All right? you are feeling a little weirdo, man.
Get a new sweater. The worst dressed man here tonight.
Right? Look, get that laugh, and get it in there tonight because nobody else is gonna laugh like her. She's under drugs, all right?
You know you already want a Toyota, but when you want more from your Toyota store, you want Smithtown Toyota, where every Toyota comes with Smithtown Toyota's Toyota for Life program, giving you lifetime New York State inspections, lifetime 10% discounts on all parts and service, 2 years of complimentary oil changes, 2 years of scheduled maintenance, and more, all at no cost to you, plus low clear-out deals on every Toyota in stock. Get more from your Toyota store. Hurry to Smithtown Toyota.
Welcome to the Rehab Center located at 2025 Brentwood Road in Brentwood, New York. At the center we offer chiropractic services, acupuncture, and physical therapy. We take most major medical, no-fault, and workers' comp insurance. If you need these types of services, contact the offices at 631-234-4949. That's 631-234-4949.
Welcome back to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. On our break, my guests, Debbie and Bob, were just telling me about an article that called up the book that they were interviewed called Gates. It was done in
Beyond the Gates.
Beyond the Gates. Yeah. Beyond the Gates. And what was the article topic? Bob's stroke?
Bob's stroke and about his book and his recovery.
And our foundation.
And the foundation.
Wow. Right. Is that online? Is that online? Everything's always online. But if you want to read that, look for Beyond the Gates, and of course put Bob and Debbie Mandell, their names in, and I'm sure you can Google it. Actually, that photo came up, which Janine just showed. It came up on the internet, so there's probably a link to it.
Right.
So I'd love to read that. So I'm going to take one of those to read it.
By all means.
Yep.
Yes. So thank you for sharing your story about your stroke, and that
was the beginning.
Yes, it was the beginning. It was the beginning. So let's flip to recovery. Let's flip to the therapy, and what sort of recovery did you have?
Well,
you had it. You probably didn't have it in the hospital. You probably had it when you moved to the rehab.
Nursing home. It wasn't a rehab center.
No, we weren't on the camera when you were talking about the fact that you had to go out. Were we on the camera when you were talking about the fact that you had to go out and find nursing homes?
Nursing home.
Okay,
right.
so because sometimes I get confused of off-camera talking and camera talking. I want to make sure.
No.
I want to make
the
sure that
commercial came after.
Yes, our audience knew that. Okay, so you had gone out and you looked for a place to put your husband. I mean,
And I had criteria for anybody who, I hope never has to do this, but the criteria was I wanted to make sure there were men there because so many of the nursing homes have all women. I wanted to make sure they had good physical therapists and occupational therapists. I wanted to make sure at that time he got a private room. I wanted to make sure the place was clean.
Wow.
And accredited, and also location, because it was close for me to go from Greenwich, from teaching, to see Bob every day, and it was very close for friends and family to come and visit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those were the criteria I looked for.
Wow, and I'm really, I don't know what the terminology is. I admire you for coming up with the criteria, because a lot of families just rely on the social workers to find a place, which they don't know. I mean, honestly, when this happens, you don't know. I mean, you don't know what to do. You don't know where you're going, and you do have to rely on the social workers. But you took it one step further, and you were like, no, this is my husband. He has to be taken care of the way I think he should be taken care of.
That's right.
So, yeah, that's awesome. So, Bob, talk to us a little bit about what the experience was.
Well, I had therapy 4 to 5 hours a day, 6 days a week.
That is really good.
Well, it is good. And, the bad news was I had the stroke 20 years ago. The good news was insurance was very different than it is today.
Yes.
And so it's in what's called, I guess, indemnification. And as long as you kept making progress, they kept paying for
But
therapy.
at least you got
4 to 5
5
hours.
hours.
So in the nursing home, I had occupational therapy, I had physical therapy, both I had twice a day, and I had speech therapy.
I remember being in speech therapy. This is one of the God moments in my life that I remember God saying to remember these moments because you're going to be talking about it.
Right.
And I literally remember looking at a child's book, The Boy Ran, and not being able to say it, not being able to even understand it. Like it was almost like,
Oh my God.
like I wasn't in my body. It was very scary.
Right,
I mean, like, and the speech therapist trying to tell me. So
Well, in my case, it was really the first time I realized just how sick I was. I had just been hiccuping, so I was very tired and sleepy. Well, when that speech therapist came in and gave me a 3-word sentence and I couldn't do it, I realized I must be a lot sicker than I think I am. That's when it hit me.
Wow.
The doctor had already told me I'd be in a wheelchair the rest of my life.
Wow.
But
Which you're not.
even that
But we
didn't-
disagreed with him.
Yes,
we disagreed
absolutely,
with that. Totally.
positively.
I couldn't say it, but you know
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but-
you're a fighter. You have a fighting spirit in you.
Right.
And before, I don't mean to cut you off, but before we were in the agreement, we were talking about how your life prior to any illness or situation determines your outcome for how you're going to recover. Because you're kind of preparing yourself for, this is what I'm going to learn, and we're determined people, and we're going to survive it no matter what comes our way.
Right.
So,
Right,
go ahead.
exactly right. And so suddenly I'm really a lot sicker than I thought. But I thought a year I would probably be fine. Because you think a year is a long time. But that's not really the case in stroke and in many diseases, TBIs and all kinds of diseases. So I had the occupational physical therapy, and I used to be a righty. Physical.
You used to be a what?
A righty.
Okay.
Right
Me
hand.
too.
That was my dominant
Now I'm
side.
a lefty.
Yeah, that's right.
Now I'm
And
a
not
so-
easy.
And so when they gave me a piece of paper to write something on, I couldn't. It was like chicken scratch.
I know.
So then I started to think, maybe I can write lefty. Because when I was a kid, I was just playing ping pong. And if I was I was a good ping pong player. So if I was better than the other fellow, I would switch to lefty. And,
Right.
and I wasn't so good on lefty.
Right.
But I was able to do something.
Yes.
And when
yes.
I was playing tennis, if I couldn't reach a backhand shot, sometimes I would switch the racket to my left hand and
Right.
do it lefty. So I thought, well, maybe I can do it lefty. So I
Wow.
started practicing
You were
lefty.
determined. I mean, it's almost like it's a new road.
Right.
It's a new life path.
We have
But-
to learn everything over again.
Yes.
Right.
Just
yes.
if you were an infant.
Yep.
Wow.
yep.
Right.
But
And
the
you're doing it
gift
for the
is that
first
we
time.
have the possibility to do it.
The brain allows you to
people
do it.
can do
Yeah.
this,
And determination.
but they have to want to do
Yes,
it.
you have to
It just doesn't
determination.
happen.
Doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Doesn't
So
happen.
I
Takes a
started-
lot of work.
And actually, often people say, how did you manage to switch? And truthfully, it was pretty easy.
You had no choice.
But
That's true.
it's true, but it could have been difficult. But I actually didn't have very much trouble doing it. The only thing I did, I would do S's and Z's backwards and check marks backwards.
Wow.
And now I do it once in a while just to kind of think back to where I was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He also learned to tie his shoes. The first thing he learned was
Right.
to tie
Wow.
his shoes.
They wanted me, when they came in, a vendor came in to give me, measure my feet for these Velcro shoes,
Velcro sneakers.
and I wouldn't entertain it. Even though I couldn't speak very well,
Right. Right. You didn't want to go there. You
I
wanted to
wasn't going
stay.
there.
You were going to be.
I was going to
You're
go.
gonna. You're gonna
Get back
yes,
as normal
yes,
as I could possibly could
absolutely,
be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so for 2 hours a day after all the therapy, I would practice. And then I kind of got it. And that's it. No Velcro shoes.
Right. So what was, I mean, you said you wanted to bring in the therapy. What is it that you want to make sure that our audience knows about therapy?
Let's move forward.
Okay.
So there's traditional therapy, the
Right.
things that you get in a nursing home or in a rehab center. But then there's alternative or integrative therapies. And that's not particularly well known. In many cases, it's not evidence-based. And it's not evidence-based because there's no pharma component.
Right.
And nobody put big money behind it.
Right.
That doesn't mean it doesn't work.
Right.
So,
and we agree. We know it does work.
right, for different people. But you know, aspirin doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's true.
so I fortunately became involved with some integrated therapists, and they've used all kinds of therapies
Did
on
they
me.
work at the nursing home? Or?
No,
No,
this
this
is
is years
now.
later.
This is years later. As I say,
okay.
this is many years later when we were in Florida.
Did you know that we have one of our stroke family members? She does the acupuncture.
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
She was on our show a number of times.
met
You
her.
met
Oh,
Jasmine.
I
we
remember.
met
Yeah, she
Jasmine.
was here
Right.
Jasmine,
last
she
time.
does. She does
in March.
acupuncture. But did you hear the story how in China, when you suffer a stroke, it is mandatory for you to get acupuncture.
Acupuncture.
It
Right.
is mandatory. It's on their protocol.
Right.
Well, Bob, when he was in the nursing home, there was a physical therapist who did acupuncture, and we did do acupuncture in the nursing home. It had to be after hours.
Right.
That we had to pay for out
Yeah.
of pocket, and insurance
Right.
didn't pay for it. And yeah, I don't. You know, at that point he was so bad. I don't know if it worked or not, but we tried it.
Try whatever
Right.
you
We,
can.
we
I thought
tried it,
did
and it could have helped.
work a little bit.
Right.
And
It did help. Well, you always said it was like she was putting her whole energy
yes, when this
into
person did, she put her whole. I could feel the energy. I was sitting there. I could feel the energy of her pushing those needles into Bob. I
Well,
could feel the energy.
It's so funny because I'm going to a chiropractor now because I had 2 herniated discs. And he is so good. What he does now, through my chiropractor, through his procedures, is he aligns my skull. I never had that done. And I'm like, that should have been done 26 years ago when my skull was like, when my brain was out of whack. More out of whack.
More out
I'm
of whack.
saying like, because I'm still out of whack.
No, you were not.
But no, I know I'm out of whack. But you have to be out of whack to make a difference in the world. You can't be, just in with the groove. You got to do your own thing. But I'm like, I never had.
Right.
He kind of like, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I can't believe that he's doing that. So I agree with that.
So it's been used on me, something called ETPS, which is electrical stimulation of acupuncture points,
Oh, wow.
which actually is the way I got my ability to speak publicly back.
Wow.
So over the years, I obviously got my speech back. But when we moved to Florida, I couldn't speak publicly. And if I was at a meeting, I couldn't even introduce my business in a reasonable way.
Wow.
I could do one-to-one. Even something like this would have been challenging for me.
Wow.
So would you say it was because you felt nervous or self-conscious that you wouldn't?
I
be
don't
able
know.
to speak?
I think it was some kind of a neurological issue.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
had
It was
to be.
nervous. It was
Because
lack
you
of confidence
sometimes
or what
you
it
can't-
was.
I know even to this day when I get tired, I can't process things. I'll talk about, something 3 times, or I won't say it in the right order. Everybody else is looking at me like, they don't know I've had a stroke.
Right.
But this is only when I get really tired now.
Right.
But I'm just saying, so I can imagine back when we first experienced it, how our brains were functioning.
Right.
It's scary.
Only half time.
Half time, yes.
If that.
Half time, taking a break.
Right. So I was fortunate enough to meet a therapist, to be actually referred to a therapist, and she tried this. She was doing it actually on my neck and on my shoulder for pain. And one day she said she's going to try it on my brain. So the part she focused on is a soft spot of your head. It's pretty easy to find on me.
Wow.
So
That's a gift. You're bold.
there you go. So, and I came home. I said to Debbie, I think I can speak publicly
Wow.
again. And so that took some time to kind of get going, being able to speak publicly. But I just felt different. But there's another therapy called Aphasia today. Aphasia is the same concept, acupuncture points. The difference is there's a feedback mechanism. Any point therapy is it's very important that the therapists know their points.
Right.
And it's not like it's not like you're following the dots.
Right.
You have to really know the therapist. What we learned to do doing it was, we being the therapist and I, she would do it and it didn't hurt. That's not the spot. This spot this spot. That's the one that hurts. That's
Wow.
that's the point.
Wow.
So all the points. So now when they do different point things, the thing that hurts.
Okay.
Yesterday we did something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
What hurts is the right spot. The spot
Right.
next to it doesn't hurt.
Right.
If you have the right spot next to it, it doesn't work.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Aphasia has the ability, has a little feedback thing,
Biofeedback.
and so it tells the therapist the numbers go up when it's the right spot.
Wow.
And so,
I think that's what my chiropractor doesn't crack me. He uses a machine
yeah, it
on my
might be.
back.
It might
You
be.
know, and he.
That's good.
Yes. He
Yeah,
doesn't,
because
doesn't
cracking, I don't go for that
No,
personally.
no. And I actually, 2 times I was rushed to the emergency room because I had massages
Mm-hmm.
and they touched in here. And it affected my whole
Right.
brain. And I
right.
had such a headache that they were afraid I was going to have another stroke.
Another stroke.
So I got rushed to the hospital. So I'm very careful in letting anybody touch
Right.
this area
Right.
of my,
Right.
you know,
For sure.
with,
I've
you know,
heard about
deep,
that. I've
Right.
heard
deep,
of it.
deep, deep.
But that's only one thing
That's
that
only-
Bob has
I just want to make
investigated.
you aware, just so we stay on timeline.
Yep.
We only have about 8 minutes left,
Okay.
7 minutes. So I just want to,
Okay.
because I know we have a lot of things
Things
we
to
want to
talk about.
touch on. That's okay, but just say what you're going to say.
Well, because also in the book, Bob talks about clinical studies, because many people don't know about clinical studies and how you can get into a clinical study. And with clinical studies, you get free medicine, free help
Wow.
with
Wow.
clinical studies. Of course, you're being used as a guinea pig because
Yeah.
some pharmaceutical company is trying out some new technique or some new type of medicine or medication.
And it's been helpful for you.
But
Been
it's
helpful.
been helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Well,
So I
you could
spend
do-
a lot of time in the book talking about that, even a chapter of role playing, describing for a person, this is the unknown.
Of
So
course.
people are afraid of the unknown. And since I think it's constructive, I thought I'd write a chapter. This is what went on day 1, day 2, you know,
Yeah.
as a therapy. So you can see from a patient perspective just what it goes on. So it's not such a mystery to a person.
Wow.
And
Wow. I
therapy,
never knew about that. Never
right.
knew about
But that's
that.
in every disease, there's clinical research. Every disease.
Although when I remember when my ex-husband, my children's father, brought me into New York City because they were doing studies for young people that had a stroke.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the same type
That's
of
a
That
clinical
was,
study.
That was a clinical
Yeah,
study.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you even get paid a small
Yeah.
stipend.
Yeah.
Right, for your travel,
So
mostly,
maybe for
to
your travel or
reimburse your
whatever.
travel.
But a lot of people don't know to seek those out.
Wow.
And how to
and
seek those
just
out.
briefly, there are databases
But they say it in
today.
your book,
All
so
that's in the book.
they could purchase
All-
the book.
Right.
Yeah, and
So, you know, while we're on the book subject, tell us how you could buy the book.
It's kind of 3 ways. One
Okay.
is to go on my website, strokevictor.com.
Okay.
The second is through Amazon. And
Okay.
the third is barnesandnoble.com.
Right. Right.
Right.
That's good. That's exciting.
BarnesandNoble.com.
Right.
.com.
Yeah,
So,
the store.
so,
Right.
so you experienced all this, and I'm sorry because I would love to sit here and chat
Right.
with you, but I want to
No,
make
no,
sure
we have to move
right,
forward.
No,
right.
we have to move
So
forward.
let's talk about your foundation.
Right. So a couple of years ago, let's go back to how did the book get
How did the book?
How did it happen? We had gone to Australia. A friend of mine who was a distinguished professor at University of Michigan said, Bob, you have to write a book of how you went from a nursing home in Connecticut to Australia.
From victim to
It's-
victor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I got going on writing the book. And as I wrote the book, and I interviewed people, when I say people, I interviewed caregivers, I interviewed stroke physicians, all people
Therapists.
that are therapists, people in the medical community. I realized that stroke is an underserved disease. And
Yes,
we've all
absolutely.
experienced that. And so
Underserved meaning that we
underserved
spoke about
in
this
terms
before, but I
of-
just want you to explain
in
it
terms
to
of
our
media,
audience. Yes.
in terms of how it's reimbursed in the medical system, how it's thought of, the money that's put in for new research, all those things are underserved. And I thought, I'm going to make a difference here, and I'm going to start a foundation. Now, just to show you how underserved, today it's very difficult to buy a good name on the internet. When I say good name, I mean the domain .com or .org for not-for-profits. I was able to buy 50 names, good names. Stroke Recovery Foundation. You would have thought that would have been gone 20 years ago.
Right.
Stroke
Definitely.
Research Foundation, Stroke
Definitely.
Research Institute. I created strokeologists. Is there a strokeologist? There's a cardiologist. There's no strokeologist,
Wow.
right?
True.
Right.
Wow.
There are very few physicians who only specialize on stroke.
Wow.
They specialize on brain injuries, but there's 5 of them, 5
Right.
major categories in there.
Right. Right.
So-
right.
So I started this 501c3 in 2015.
Give us
usually
your foundation's web.
Stroke, and that's strokerecoveryfoundation.org.
So that's different than your book.
That's different than the
Okay.
book. And what we're trying to do is help people recover. The foundations that are the major foundations in the stroke world, particularly focus on education for consumers, risk factors, the FAST program, so that you know to call 911, and those are all wonderful things, but there's less focus on recovery.
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
Now we're survivors, so I'm saying, all right, let's pick up the game in recovery. And so one of our missions is to help people who can't afford therapy after they hit their insurance caps.
That's so funny. That's one of our goals.
Right.
That's one of
pay
our-
for therapy.
It's
Yeah.
very important
Yeah.
Very
because
important.
therapy is the key. No matter what type of therapy it is, the more therapy you get, the better and quicker you're going to recover.
Now I can say flat
If you're
out,
determined.
if I hadn't had all this therapy, and when I was in for 2 years after the nursing home, I was 2 years outpatient therapy, getting 4 to 5 hours of therapy.
Wow. Wow.
Then I, by the way,
And that
added,
was covered at that
and
time?
that was all covered. But if I hadn't had that, I would not be sitting here talking about this. I guarantee you.
I gotta say though that we're making some headway
It's good.
with the strokes and the press because on Verizon, I have Verizon TV channel. So on Verizon, they do stroke advertisements from the American Stroke Association.
Right.
They do
That's good.
stroke
Well,
they
that's
do
good.
stroke commercials. So I'm really
Well,
happy to
well, you
know
know,
that we're making a
making
difference.
some progress.
We're making some
Making
progress.
some progress.
And I think even on the regular broadcasts like Channel 7, Channel 2 in New Jersey, I don't know about New
No,
York
no.
and Florida, that I also see awareness as well. So
Right.
it is, you know what?
Starting to pick up.
It's touching too many people.
Right.
It's touching too many people. We have about 30 seconds left, so I just want you to really cap off.
So what
what
I've
you
now
wanted to say.
starting to focus on is breaking down barriers. We all have barriers. Every disease creates barriers. I certainly had barriers. And so I'm looking at how does one break down a barrier. And how they break down a barrier is how they're going to get better from any disease. And
Right. And barriers as far as in every
it could
aspect.
be money.
Right. Right.
It could be
Right.
their emotional depression. Could be any of these things. These are big barriers and get to people.
Right.
An illness, a financial problem, whatever.
Right.
A job.
And just if anybody would like Bob to come and speak, because you're a public speaker.
I am a public speaker now.
They can reach you through your website. Which website?
StrokeVictor.com.
StrokeVictor.com. So we're going, Tommy. I knew we only had 30 seconds, but we're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna sing Heartbreaker for my friend Tommy over there and Janine, because I was supposed to do it on the telethon, and we ran out of time, and it got cut out. So I'm gonna do Heartbreaker for Tommy, and then we're gonna go back on the stage, and we're gonna end the show with I Believe in Music, and we'll visit one more time with Debbie and Bob, and of course Judy Marlowe. So we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Dr. G. I've established an organization called Voices for Veterans. We use music to honor veterans and to help the public understand what veterans have gone through when they come home from war. On October 22nd of this year, we're going to have an incredible show, a 3.5-hour concert at Malloy College, one of the greatest 500-seat theaters on Long Island. We're going to honor 25 veterans. We've taken an incredible band, 15 people from Long Island, some of the best musicians we could find, and we merged it with a 30-person choir, merging gospel with rock and roll. This incredible 3.5-hour show is like none other that you've ever seen. This is Grammy quality. October 22nd, you can buy a ticket, you can make a donation, you can get involved, you can help us with the committee. You can look us up at veterans.org and go on our website and get all the information about the show. Please make a difference to these veterans by coming aboard with us with Voices for Veterans. Thank you so much.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
You know you already want a Toyota, but when you want more from your Toyota store, you want Smithtown Toyota, where every Toyota comes with Smithtown Toyota's Toyota for Life program, giving you lifetime New York State inspections, lifetime 10% discounts on all parts and service, 2 years of complimentary oil changes, 2 years of scheduled maintenance, and more, all at no cost to you, plus low clear-out deals on every Toyota in stock. Get more from your Toyota store. Hurry to Smithtown Toyota.
Hello, welcome back to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. As I said before, I'm going to be singing a little Pat Benatar, something I love to sing, and I love Pat. I met her in B.B. King's in New York City, and she really is an icon to me. So this is in honor of Pat Benatar and for my friend Tommy and Vicky. Let's go. Tommy and Janine, I'm sorry. Sorry, Janine. We'll turn it up a little bit. Let's go. Your love is like a tidal wave spinning over my head, driving me and your promises better left unsaid. Yeah, I'm kind of sinner to release my inner fantasies. The invincible winner, and you know that you are born to be. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker, don't you mess around. No. Your love has set my soul on fire, but I'm not in control. You taught me the ways of desire, now it's taking my toll. You're the right kind of sinner to release my inner fantasy. mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker. Don't you mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker. Don't you mess around with me. You're a heartbreaker, dream maker, love taker. Don't you mess around. No, no, no. I love Pat Benatar. Come on up, everyone. Bob, Debbie, come on. A little Pat Benatar. All right. It's a little let loose and have a good time, you know. Thank you so much. I'm humbled and first of all, I'm humbled and honored to have connected with you. You're both really a wonderful story and really just incredible inspiration for all of us, especially me. So thank you so much, Bob.
You're an inspiration to us too, and Judy also.
Great, you're doing great things.
We're going to do it together. We're going to do it together. We're not doing it alone. We got to be together. Right, Judy?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to sing I Believe in Music. To roll on out, you'll know the song and just say the words. Let's go, Janine. I know. You know. Let's go. Well, I can just sit around making music all day long. As long as I'm making my music, I can't do nobody wrong. And who knows, maybe someday I'll come up with a song that makes people want to stop the fussing and fighting just long enough to sing along. Let's go. I believe in music. I believe in love. Say, music is love and love is music, if you know what I mean. And people who believe in music are the happiest people I've ever seen. So clap your hands, stomp your feet, and shake your tambourine. Lift your voices to the sky. God loves it when you sing. Let's go. I believe in music, and I believe in love. One more time. Let's go. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. Let's go, one more verse. Music is a universal language and love is the key to find brotherhood, peace, and understanding and living in harmony. So take your brother by the hand and sing along with me. Find out what it really means to be young and rich and free. Let's go! I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe in love. One more time, let's go. I believe in music. Lord knows that I believe. Let's blow our kisses. Right, ready? God bless everybody. Have a stroke of luck. We love you. We'll see you in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. 2 weeks it's live. A tape show. 3 weeks it's live. Thank you so much. Let's blow our kisses again. Let's go like this.